The used car apocalypse is here. 5 million vehicles are about to flood the US market. And if you're planning to buy or sell a car in the next year, this tsunami of inventory will either make you rich or financially destroy you. Right now, while you're watching this video, rental car companies are dumping fleet vehicles faster than a casino dealer shuffles cards. Lease returns are piling up like autumn leaves. And repossessed vehicles. They're hitting auction lots at a rate of $18,000 per day, not per month, per day. Meet David, a contractor from Phoenix who thought he was playing it smart by waiting for used car prices to crash. In just 5 weeks, he watched a 2021 Ford F-150 plunge from $42,000 to $34,000. And he still has no clue what's really fueling this price collapse. Behind this tidal wave sits a financial time bomb set off by the greedy car companies, trapping hardworking Americans who played by the rules. This flood won't just change car prices. It'll split people into winners and losers overnight. The question isn't if 5 million cars will hit the market. It's whether you can survive what happens next. David wakes before sunrise, thumbs scrolling through listings, eyes fixed on the numbers. The 2021 Ford F-150, he's tracked for months, started at $42,000 by the second week. It's $38,000, 5 weeks in. The price slips to $34,000. The change isn't subtle. It's a relentless slide, week after week, as if gravity itself has taken hold of the market. Trucks that would have vanished from lots and now linger for months. Their windshields are crowded with red tags and handle-turned marks, each sticker more desperate than the last. It's not just the Ford. Across Phoenix, the story repeats. A Chevy Silverado drops $7,500 in 3 weeks. Used Camry lose $2,000 between Monday and Friday. Dealers slash prices, then slash again, but the lots stay full. The numbers are stark. Dealer inventory has surged by 55% in the past year, adding over 1 million extra cars to the market. Some vehicles have been parked for more than 400 days, their paint dulled by sun and dust, their value shrinking by the hour. Even the deepest discounts, $10,000, $20,000, sometimes more, can't pull buyers off the sidelines. The familiar rhythm of depreciation, steady, predictable, has been replaced by chaos. The old rules no longer apply. Last spring, buyers lined up to pay above sticker, sometimes offering thousands more just to drive away. Now, the tide has turned. Dealers can't move cars fast enough. Each week brings a new flood, more than 50,000 off-lease vehicles, up to 30,000 ex-rental cars, and over 100,000 repossessed units pour onto lots and auction blocks. The market absorbs this tidal wave, but prices buckle under the weight. For families like David's, the ground keeps shifting. Waiting used to mean leverage. Every drop in price felt like progress, a step closer to a bargain. But as the weeks drag on, the certainty fades. The bottom keeps falling away. He wonders if he's chasing a deal that will never land or if he's just watching his chance slip further out of reach. He's not the only one. Buyers across the country freeze, holding out for the next markdown, while sellers panic. Dealers walk the rows of unsold cars, counting losses, watching as values erode day by day. This isn't a local blip or a bad month for sales. It's a nationwide freefall. The numbers get worse with each passing week. And the sense of control, once taken for granted, has vanished. The market David thought he understood has become unrecognizable, ruled by forces no one seems able to stop. David's phone buzzes with another lender email. The headline screams pre-approval, but the fine print tells a different story. Last year, a $34,000 truck came with a 4.9% interest rate and a handshake. Now, the same loan demands 7.5%. If he can even get approved, banks, spooked by the collapse in used car values, have slammed the brakes on easy money. They want 20% down, sometimes more. For David, that's nearly $7,000 upfront just to drive a truck that might be worth less tomorrow than it is today. This isn't just sticker shock. It's a squeeze from every angle. Lenders are calling the shots, tightening terms and running credit checks with surgical precision. The days of zero-down deals and easy approvals are gone. Every new application feels like a test he's set up to fail. The monthly payment calculators tell one story. $615 now, maybe $495 if he waits. But the banks don't care about hope or patience. They care about risk. And right now, risk is everywhere. David's payups show steady work. $6,200 a month from back-breaking construction jobs across Maricopa County. But the loan officers aren't interested in sweat. They want guarantees. With used car values dropping faster than ever, banks are terrified of getting stuck with a loan that's underwater before the ink dries. That means higher down payments, higher rates, and shorter approval windows. Miss a document, miss a deadline, and the offer vanishes. Try again next week, and the terms get worse. For families like David's, the dream of a bargain has turned into a maze of paperwork and moving goalposts. Every day he waits, the numbers change. Every call to the bank brings a new hurdle. He's not alone. Across the country, buyers are finding that the real cost of a used car isn't just the price on the windshield. It's the invisible wall built by lenders protecting themselves from the crash. The market is flooded with cars, but the lifeboats are getting smaller, and the price of a seat keeps rising. David's patience, once his greatest asset, now feels like a trap. He wonders if he'll ever be able to buy, or if the only thing waiting at the end of this race is a pile of paperwork and a bill he can't afford. The stress is quiet but constant, a knot in his stomach that tightens every time the phone rings. The promise of a deal has been replaced by anxiety, and the American dream of driving home a new truck is slipping further out of reach with every passing week. Rental car giants Enterprise, Hertz, and Avis are offloading vehicles at a pace the market hasn't seen in decades. Their combined U.S. fleets now stand between 2.1 and 2.5 million vehicles, rebuilt after pandemic lows, but still trailing pre-2020 peaks. In just the first half of this year, 284 rental units were sold off. A 5.4% jump over last year's pace. That's more than 110,000 cars dumped each month just from rental companies. But this is only the tip of the iceberg. Corporate and government fleets, pressured by aging vehicles and rising costs, have joined the exodus. Altogether, over 1.1 million fleet origin vehicles hit wholesale channels in 6 months, nearly matching the entire annual output of some automakers. Auction houses are overwhelmed. At peak, up to 30,000 ex-rental cars roll into the wholesale lanes every week, flooding markets like Atlanta, Phoenix, and southern Florida with more cars than local dealers can absorb. Each batch is measured in hundreds, sometimes thousands, of identical sedans and SUVs. When Hertz decided to thin its fleet, one July morning saw 800 used SUVs dropped into the southern Florida market, slashing wholesale prices by 15% in 2 weeks. In Phoenix, a single week brought 400 retired electric vehicles from HERS. Almost none found immediate buyers. The impact is brutal. Local prices spiral downward, and the shockwaves ripple out to neighboring states as dealers scramble to unload their own stock before values collapse even further. Fleet managers aren't waiting for the perfect moment. They're racing against time, forced by rising interest rates and mounting floor plan costs. The average hold period for a rental car has shortened back to 24 months. But surplus inventory, especially older, high-mileage, or unwanted models, gets dumped in bulk whenever financial pressure mounts. SEC filings show Hertz alone reported a U.S. fleet of around 420,000 vehicles this year, with a clear mandate to reduce exposure after disastrous bets on electric vehicles and pandemic-era debt. The numbers add up fast. By year's end, rental and corporate fleet disposals will account for nearly 2 million of the 5 million vehicles expected to hit the market. That's 35 to 40% of the entire flood. And these units aren't trickling in. They're arriving in waves, overwhelming dealer lots, auction blocks, and storage yards from Houston to Newark. For the average buyer, it's easy to underestimate what these numbers mean. But every time a rental company dumps 100 cars in one city, the local market buckles. Prices drop overnight. Dealers who just bought similar models at last month's auction are suddenly underwater. The losses aren't theoretical. They're measured in thousands of dollars per car per week as values plummet and carrying costs pile up. This is the scale of the offload. Millions of vehicles dumped in bulk with no safety net. It's not just a wave, it's a tsunami, and it's still gaining strength. Atlanta wakes up to a new kind of reality. On a humid Thursday, more than 600 ex-rental SUVs hit the auction block at once, every one of them with nearly identical specs, mileage, and a bright yellow tag. Within 2 weeks, wholesale prices in the region drop 15%. Dealers who bought inventory just days earlier are suddenly underwater, staring at losses that could wipe out a month's profits. The shock doesn't end in Georgia. The same week, Phoenix sees 400 retired electric vehicles dumped by a single rental company. Most sit untouched, gathering dust under the desert sun. Local prices for similar EVs fall 12% in a matter of days, and the ripple spreads to neighboring states as desperate sellers race to unload their own stock before the next wave hits. These aren't isolated events. The Southeast and Southwest have become dumping grounds for unwanted fleet vehicles, with batch sizes growing larger every month. In southern Florida, one July morning brings 800 used SUVs into the wholesale lanes. The used car apocalypse is here. 5 million vehicles are about to flood the U.S. market, the largest surge in modern history. If you're planning to buy or sell a car, this isn't just a market correction, it's a tsunami, one that will either make you rich or financially destroy you right now. Rental car companies are offloading vehicles faster than ever before. Lease returns are stacking up like dominoes, and repossessed cars, they're hitting auctions at $18,000 per day. That's not per month, per day. This isn't speculation, it's happening. And behind it all is a financial time bomb. Built by the very companies Americans trusted. David, a contractor from Phoenix, thought he was being smart. He'd wait for prices to drop for the perfect deal. 5 weeks in, the 2021 Ford F-150 he had been watching plunged from $42,000 to $34,000, a $8,000 loss in just over a month. Every morning, David wakes before sunrise, thumbs scrolling through listings, eyes locked on the numbers. Trucks that once sold instantly now sit for months. Their windshields are crowded with red tags and desperate marks, each sticker screaming a silent warning. "We can't move this car. It's not just David's F-150. Across Phoenix, the story repeats. Chevy Silverados drop $7,500 in 3 weeks. Used Camrys lose $2,000 between Monday and Friday. Dealers slash prices, then slash them again, but the lots remain full. The numbers are brutal. Dealer inventories have surged 55% in a single year, adding over 1 million extra cars to the market. Some vehicles have been parked for over 400 days. Their paint dulled by sun and dust, their value shrinking by the hour. Even deep discounts, $10,000, $20,000, can't pull buyers off the sidelines. The familiar rhythm of depreciation, once predictable and steady, has been replaced by chaos. The old rules no longer apply. A year ago, buyers lined up to pay thousands over sticker. Today, dealers are begging for buyers. Every week. Another 50,000 off-lease vehicles, 30,000 ex-rental cars, and over 100,000 repossessed units flood auction blocks. Prices buckle under the weight. David's patience, once an advantage, now feels like a trap. Waiting used to mean leverage. Every drop in price felt like progress. But the bottom keeps falling. Every week, the numbers shift. Every call to the bank brings a new hurdle, and banks have changed too. Interest rates for used car loans jumped from 4.9% to 7.5%. Down payments are skyrocketing 20% or more, meaning thousands up front, just to drive a vehicle that might be worth less tomorrow. For families, it's a financial squeeze from every angle. Lenders call the shots, tightening terms and scrutinizing credit with surgical precision. The days of easy approvals are gone. Rental giants like Hertz, Enterprise, and Avis are making it worse. Their U.S. fleets now total 2.1 to 2.5 million vehicles, and they're offloading them faster than the market can handle. More than 110,000 rental cars are being dumped every month. Cities like Atlanta, Phoenix, and southern Florida are being hit with waves of identical vehicles, hundreds, sometimes thousands, at once. When Hertz dropped 800 SUVs into Florida one morning, wholesale prices plunged 15% in just 2 weeks. Dealers who bought at last month's prices are suddenly underwater. Losses aren't hypothetical. They're thousands of dollars per car per week. And it's not just rental fleets. Corporate and government fleets, pressured by aging vehicles and rising costs, have joined the exodus. Together, over 1.1 million fleet vehicles hit wholesale channels in 6 months, nearly matching the annual output of some automakers. auction houses are overwhelmed. Satellite images now reveal car graveyards stretching for acres. Vehicles lined bumper to bumper, some still wrapped in shipping plastic. Some lots hold 400,000 unsold cars, their batteries draining, tires flattening. Value melting day by day. Every unsold car costs a dealer $800, $1,200 per month in interest, insurance, and storage. For smaller dealerships, hundreds of idle cars can wipe out a year's profits. Nearly 67% of U.S. dealerships are now in distress or have shut down entirely since 2023. Rows of abandoned lots line the Midwest, the South, and even major cities. Lobbyists are flooding Washington, spending over $9 million last year for federal relief. The 5 largest dealer groups added another $2.5 million. But these efforts can't stop the flood. Meanwhile, buyers like Cynthia are trapped. She leased a sedan in 2021 with a buyout of $17,000. Today, that same car sells at auction for $12,400. Her bank refuses to budge. Pay over market or start from scratch in a market drowning in excess. Multiply this story by millions, and you see the scale of the backlog. Repossession adds another layer. Nearly 4% of all U.S. auto loans are now past due, the highest rate since the last recession. Subprime borrowers fare worse. 1 in 10 are behind on payments. Miguel, an electrician in Cleveland, bought a used Silverado in 2022. When overtime dried up, he missed payments. In a blink, his truck was gone. Household income dropped from $5,900 to $3,200. Rent fell behind. Collector calls arrived daily. This is happening nationwide. Auction houses are swamped. Up to 126,000 repossessed cars arrive weekly. Most sell for a fraction of their original loan balance. Banks write off hundreds of millions in bad debt, tighten credit, and leave borrowers exposed. 3 forces created this tsunami: rental fleet offloads, lease returns priced above market, and repossession surges. Together, they've left over 5 million used cars on U.S. lots. For families, dealers, and lenders, the consequences are immediate and brutal. Prices fall faster than anyone can react. Loans go underwater. Equity disappears. Dreams of an affordable vehicle turn into a financial nightmare. And yet, the worst may be yet to come. Every week, more vehicles arrive. Every week, lenders tighten terms. Every week, the market teeters closer to total collapse. This isn't random, it's systemic. Built on corporate greed, pandemic-era bets, and reckless lending, the storm has hit. The market is broken. And the only question left is, will you survive what happens next? Lenders are eating losses on every unit, and the backlog keeps growing. Each week, another 50,000 off-lease vehicles hit the market, most worth far less than the spreadsheets predicted. This isn't just a forecasting error. It's a financial misfire that's trapping dealers and choking the used car pipeline. The fantasy of ever-rising values has collapsed, leaving real people, buyers, sellers, even the banks, holding the bag. And for every car that sits unsold, the pressure builds, turning dealer lots into graveyards and the American dream of affordable wheels into a waiting game with no clear winner. Every week, the backlog on dealer lots grows heavier, pressing down on the entire system like a loaded spring. Off-lease returns, rental fleet castoffs, and repossessions pour in at a rate that would have seemed impossible just a few years ago. Over 200,000 vehicles a week by the latest industry estimates. That's not a typo. 55,000 off-lease vehicles, 126,000 repossessed cars, and up to 30,000 ex-rental units. Week after week, the lots fill then overflow. Satellite images now reveal what industry insiders call car graveyards. Acres of unsold vehicles, some still wrapped in shipping plastic, lined up bumper to bumper on the outskirts of Houston, Savannah, and Los Angeles. More than 400,000 unsold cars sit in just 3 of these storage compounds, their batteries draining and tires flattening as weeks turn into months. Dealers face a punishing math problem. Every unsold car costs between $800 and $1,200 a month in floor plan interest, insurance, and storage. For a lot with 200 vehicles, that's $250,000 lost every year just to keep the lights on. The longer the cars sit, the deeper the hole. Some luxury and electric models have languished for over 500 days, their value melting away with each sunrise. Price cuts of $10,000 or even $30,000 aren't enough to lure buyers off the sidelines. Instead, the backlog grows, and so does the desperation. The pressure isn't just financial, it's political. The National Automobile Dealers Association spent over $9 million on federal lobbying last year alone, pushing for interest relief and softer repossession laws. The 5 largest dealer groups chipped in another $2.5 million, flooding Congress with requests for regulatory breaks and tax adjustments. Behind closed doors, lobbyists argue that, without relief, local dealerships, often family-run for generations, will disappear. Critics say the real goal is to slow down the price collapse and spread the pain to taxpayers and car owners. As the backlog chokes lots from coast to coast, the next wave is already forming. Dealers can't sell fast enough to keep up with the flood of arrivals. With every new truck, sedan, or SUV that rolls off a transporter, the risk of financial ruin grows. And in the shadows, lenders and repo agents are circling, waiting for the first sign that a dealer can't pay the bills. That's when the repo wave hits, and the fallout spreads far beyond the showroom floor. Nearly 4% of auto loans in America are now past due, the highest rate since the last recession. For subprime borrowers, the pain cuts even deeper. Nearly 1 in 10 with a credit score below 620 is behind on payments. Staring down the barrel of repossession, it's not just a number on a spreadsheet. It's Miguel, an electrician in Cleveland who bought a used Silverado in 2022, when overtime was easy and lenders barely asked for proof of income. The payments were steep, but the promise was simple. Keep working, keep the truck. Then the hours dried up. 1 missed paycheck turned into 2, and by the end of the month, the repo truck was idling outside his apartment.